Were DC government leaders aware of misclassification concerns? And if so, when did they know?
America, the crime statistics scandal in Washington, D.C. just exploded wide open. A whistleblower inside the Metropolitan Police Department has come forward with evidence that D.C.'s top cop, Chief Pamela Smith, pressured commanders to manipulate crime data to make the city appear safer than it actually is. And now, just days before this scandal broke, Chief Smith has resigned, Mayor Bowser announced that she won't be seeking re-election, and the U.S. Attorney has confirmed that crimes were systematically misclassified to artificially lower violent crime numbers.
Tonight, DC's top prosecutor is backing claims DC police manipulated crime stats to show a bigger drop in crime in the district than was actually the case.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I've said it time and time again. All these blue cities were lying about their crime stats, and now we got receipts. DC wasn't just fudging like Diddy in a prison cell. Bruh. They were running a systematic fraud operation to deceive the American people about how dangerous their city really was. Let me break down how this entire scandal came to light, because it starts with one brave commander who refused to go along with the fraud. According to multiple sources, a DC police commander was suspended after he was caught changing crime statistics. But here's the twist: he was actually changing them to reflect what was actually happening, not to minimize serious crimes like his bosses wanted. This commander became a whistleblower and exposed what's really happening inside the MPD. Chief Pamela Smith and her top brass were pressuring district commanders to reclassify violent crimes as lesser offenses to make DC's crime numbers look better than they actually were.
A report released today by the Republican-led House Oversight Committee claims DC's police chief manipulated crime statistics.
The House Oversight Committee launched an investigation after this whistleblower came forward. They conducted transcribed interviews with commanders across DC's patrol districts, and what they found was absolutely damning. Commander after commander testified that Chief Smith pushed them to frequently classify crimes as lesser charges to paint a picture of lower crime to the public. One commander was asked directly over the last few years, has there been an internal pressure to simply bring down crime statistics? Here's the answer. The answer was yes. Extreme, they said. There's always been pressure to keep crime down, but the focus on statistics has come in with this current administration or regime. I want you guys to think about the word choice here. Regime. This commander is describing Chief Smith's leadership like it's an authoritarian government, not a police department. That tells you everything you need to know about the culture of fear and intimidation that she created. Now let's talk about how DC was cooking the books more than Emeril Lagasse. Bam! Because the methods that they used were straight out of a corruption playbook. The House Oversight Committee report explains that MPD allegedly reclassified violent crimes to lesser charges. Here's a perfect example. Assault with a deadly weapon was reduced to endangerment with a firearm. Think about what this means. If somebody pulls a gun on you and threatens to kill you, that's assault with a deadly weapon, a serious violent crime. But DC was reclassifying those incidents as endangerment with a firearm, which sounds less serious and doesn't count the same way in violent crime statistics. Oh, crime is down because people aren't reporting crime. Crime is down because your police department is understaffed. Crime is down because you recategorize your crimes. Domestic violence is reclassified as a friendly shove. Carjackings are reclassified as letting somebody borrow your car. What a joke.
Violent crime is down 26%. Homicides are down. Carjackings have been cut in half, and we continue to see reductions in property crime. But these are not just statistics. These are saved lives.
All year long, Mayor Bowser was out toting these fake numbers. Violent crime was down 26%. Homicides are down. These numbers saved lives, except they weren't real reductions. They were statistical manipulations designed to make her administration look successful. The DC Police Union chair said it perfectly. I think there's potentially a drop from where it was in 2023. I think there's a possibility that crime came down, but the department is reporting that in 2024, crime went down 35%, violent crime, then again, then another 25% through August just this year. That is preposterous to suggest that cumulatively, we've seen 60+% drops in violent crime. He's right, a 60% cumulative drop in violent crime in 2 years? In a city that was experiencing record violence, that's not crime reduction. That is a statistical miracle, my friends. That only happens when you're manipulating the data. The House Oversight Committee report paints a disturbing picture of how Chief Smith ran the Metropolitan Police Department. Multiple commanders described a toxic management culture created by the chief, a culture of fear, intimidation, threats, and retaliation.
In executive management briefings, how would you characterize what happens when crime is up if the chief is upset about numbers? What occurs there? And the commander's response in front of everybody, professional staff, all of us, there's a lot of criticism that occurs publicly.
Commanders testify that Chief Smith would publicly humiliate them in front of their colleagues and professional staff if crime numbers in their district weren't what she wanted to see. One commander described those briefings as brutal sessions where the chief would attack and criticize commanders in front of everybody else. Another commander was asked, would you say that there's a pattern of retaliation here? The answer was yes. Yes, we've had commanders been moved out of their commands for legitimate questions and suggestions and is seen as disloyal. So if you question the chief's methods or suggest maybe manipulating crime statistics wasn't a good idea, you get punished. You got transferred. You got demoted. You got publicly humiliated. This is how authoritarian regimes operate, not how professional police departments should function. When asked to characterize the culture of MPD, one commander gave a one-word answer: toxic, not the Britney Spears song. That's the police department that's supposed to be protecting the nation's capital. That's the leadership that Mayor Bowser was defending and praising all year. Now the DC Police Union and the House Republicans making these allegations is one thing, but when the U.S. Attorney of the District of Columbia confirms it, that's a whole different level. U.S. Attorney Judge Janine released a statement that should have been on every front page newspaper.
U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro saying of her own office's investigation, quote, "It is evident that a significant number of reports have been misclassified, making crime appear artificially lower than it was."
That, my friends, is the top federal prosecutor in D.C. confirming that the city's crime statistics were fraudulent. But then she went on to say something that should outrage every D.C. resident.
She says DC's top cops misclassified crimes in ways that made violent crime appear to drop more than it actually did, but she stopped short of calling the actions criminal.
So we have confirmed fraud. We have commanders testifying under oath about pressure to manipulate data. We have a toxic culture of fear and retaliation. And the U.S. attorney says, yeah, they did it. But she also says they're not going to charge anyone. If you're a politically connected police chief lying about crime statistics, you get to resign with your pension intact. All of this comes on the high top heels of DC's top cop resigning. On December 9th, Chief Pamela Smith announced she was stepping down at the end of the year after just 2 years on the job. And of course, she denied that her resignation had anything to do with this investigation.
My decision was not factored into anything with respect other than the fact that it's time.
Right. It's just a magical coincidence that you're resigning right as the House Oversight Committee releases a damning report. The U.S. Attorney confirms data manipulation, and your own commanders are testifying about your toxic leadership. The House Oversight Committee chairman didn't buy it either. He said Chief Smith's decision to mislead the public by manipulating crime statistics is dangerous and undermines trust in both local leadership and law enforcement in the district. He called her to resign immediately rather than waiting till the end of the year. Of course, Mayor Bowser is defending her to the very end. Even after the U.S. attorney confirmed the fraud, Bowser said the decline in crime is attributed to hard work of D.C. police and Chief Smith's leadership. She's still pretending the fake numbers are real. And speaking of Mayor Bowser, she just announced that she will not run for re-election after 10 years as D.C.'s mayor. She's decided that this third term will be her last.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has announced that she will not run for re-election. Thanks for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Annalisa Gale. She made that announcement today on her X account, saying she will finish out her term for the next 12 months, but that this third term will be her last.
Now, Bowser made this announcement on social media, saying it's been an honor of a lifetime, and she wants to spend more time with her family, but the timing is awfully convenient, isn't it? Her police chief just resigned in disgrace. The U.S. attorney just confirmed that the crime statistics were manipulated under her watch. watch. Now she suddenly decided not to run again. Bowser spent the last year walking a tightrope between the Trump administration, which has been scrutinizing DC over crime, and her progressive base, which opposed federal intervention. She defended Chief Smith's fake crime statistics while President Trump was sending in the National Guard to actually address the violence. And now she and her police chief are heading for the exit before the full extent of the scandal comes to light. Now here's where this scandal gets really interesting. The crime statistic fraud in DC has Maryland officials shaking in their boots. Prince George's County held a press conference where they were asked directly, can you trust your crime numbers?
Today, Prince George's County leaders announced their year-end numbers.
And they answered our questions about whether the public can trust those numbers.
Prince George's County Police Chief George Nader and county executive insisted that their numbers are accurate. Nader said there's nothing more important to having accurate numbers to us, and our numbers are accurate. We'll see about that one.
Would I have loved to have seen even more reduction in crime across the board? Of course, because that would mean that there are fewer victims, or hopefully at some point, no victims at all. But we are very focused on providing accurate numbers.
But the fact that they even have to address this question shows how much damage the DC scandal has already done. When one major jurisdiction gets caught cooking the books more than Wolfgang Puck, it raises some questions about other jurisdictions that's reporting dramatic crime reductions. Prince George's County has been reporting significant drops in crime over the last 2 years. Murders down 40%, carjackings down 55%, violent crime down 19%. Those are great numbers if they are real. But after what we just learned about DC, can we trust them? The reporter asked a key question. In light of the accusations in the district, can we trust the PG stats? And the officials had to spend time defending their data interrogation instead of just celebrating their crime reduction. Now here's a smoking gun that proves DC was lying. The DC Police Union pointed out in 2024, when DC reported a 28% violent crime drop, FBI numbers actually showed nearly 2% increase.
I think there's a potentially a drop from where we were in 2023. I think that there's a possibility that crime has come down. But the department is reporting that in 2024, crime went down 35%, violent crime. And then again, another 25% through August of this year. That is preposterous.
So DC is telling the public that violent crime dropped by 28%, but the FBI, which collects data independently, shows crime actually went up. How is this possible? It's only possible if DC is manipulating their local data to show reductions that don't even exist. The union chairman said, we're out on the streets. We know the calls we're responding to. The officers on the ground know the real crime situation, and it doesn't match what Chief Smith was reporting to the public. This is why the whistleblower came forward. This is why commanders testify about the pressure to manipulate data, because they knew the numbers being reported to the public were absolute lies, and they couldn't stay silent anymore. America, this is the biggest crime statistics scandal in recent memory. DC's police chief systematically pressured commanders to misclassify violent crimes to make the city appear safer than it actually was. Assault with a deadly weapon became endangerment with a firearm. Carjackings became unauthorized use of vehicles. Domestic violence became a friendly disagreement. The U.S. attorney confirmed that a significant number of reports were misclassified to artificially lower crime statistics. The House Oversight Committee documented a toxic culture of fear, intimidation, and retaliation. Commanders testified under oath about the pressure to cook the books, and the FBI's independent data showed that crime actually increased while DC claimed it dropped 28%. Chief Pamela Smith resigned in disgrace. Mayor Bowser announced she won't seek re-election, and now Maryland officials are being asked if their crime statistics can be trusted. But here's what nobody in power wants to admit. This isn't just a DC problem. Every blue city reporting miraculous crime reductions needs to have their books audited, because when you create a political environment where police chiefs get promoted for showing crime reduction regardless of the reality, you incentivize fraud. And that's exactly what happened in DC. A systematic, coordinated effort to lie to the American people about how dangerous their city really was. The only question is, how many other cities are running the same scam? Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.